Now that we've covered how to define every single of the 12 available notes on the piano in relationship to any major scale, an interesting question to ask ourselves is, let's go back to our triads, and couldn't we define all of these notes, like in the A diminished triad, couldn't we define all of these notes in relationship to the A major scale? So what would those relationships be for all of these triads, the A diminished triad, the A minor triad, A major, and augmented triads? How would we do that? So what we're going to do is, here I've written it out. And by the way, I've taken the grid lines off. This is just kind of a cool, if you don't know spreadsheets kind of a thing, you can do this. You can take the grid lines on and off, and things are about to get a little bit busy, so I just wanted the grid lines off. Here we have all four triads, diminished, minor, major, augmented, in starting with the note A. And I'd like to define them all in relationship to the A major scale. Here is the A major scale. And so let's look at the diminished triad. So we have, in the diminished triad, the first note is the 1 of the scale. And here we have, this note is the flat 3 of the scale. And here we have the flat 5. All right. Minor triad. We have a 1, we have a flat 3, and we have a normal 5. So the A minor triad is built with a 1, a flat 3, and a 5 in relationship to the A major scale. Now the A major triad has a 1, a normal 3, and of course a normal 5. Why? Because the A major triad is the first chord in the A major scale, and so we would expect that the A major, we would expect that there are no sharps and flats here, that these notes are pure, 1, 3, and 5, and they are. Now the augmented triad has a 1, a 3, and we're going to call this a sharp 5, and we're not going to call it a flat 6. F is the sharp 5 here, and I'm going to tell you why right now. So what we like to do when we talk about triads, or a really useful way to talk about triads, is to say they all start on this note. We're going to call that note the root. And then all of the triads have a third. That's this note. And the third comes in one of two flavors. It comes in a flat or a normal. Flat third or normal third. And then we're going to call these notes the fifth. And fifths come in a couple different flavors. And so we have flat fifth, normal fifth, or sharp fifth. And so just to keep everything nice and clean, we have root, third, fifth of each note, or of each triad. And the root is always going to be 1, because that's, like, whenever you hear the word root, you're going to think 1 to yourself. And there are 2 possibilities of thirds. There's a flat third and a normal third. And now there are 3 possibilities of fifth: flat 5, normal 5, and sharp 5. Okay, so now that we've defined the A diminished triad, the A minor triad, the A major triad, and the A augmented triad in relationship, or we've looked at each individual chord tone and we've said what is that chord tone in relationship to the A major scale. And because everything in music is basically a formula, we know that this is a generalization that will work for every other key. But let's just prove it. So let's look at the D major scale. And we're going to look at all 4 chords in that have the root note of D. So the D diminished triad is built on the 1, the flat 3, and the flat 5 of that scale. So we have, let's write it, we've got 1, flat 3, flat 5. And let's slow down real quick. So remember, D major scale has a D, let me scroll up, has D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, and then a D a little bit off screen over here. So the root of the D major scale is 1, and all 4 triads are going to share that root. And so here we did the D diminished triad. We have this F is a minor third away from D, and that is the flat third of the scale. And then we have an A flat here, which is the flat 5 of the scale of D major. All right, everybody with me now? let's look at the minor triad. We have D, which is a 1, of course. We've already defined F as the flat 3, and the A is the normal 5. Okay, A major, or D major triad. We have D is the 1, we have F sharp as the normal 3, and we have A as the normal 5. And last but not least, augmented, we have D as the normal 1. Of course, it has the root. The augmented triad has major thirds, the normal 3 of the scale. And then we've got ourselves a sharp 5. So that's that. And this relationship is the same as this relationship here. And so we can just plug that right in. Okay, and so let's look at the general case, which is that for any diminished triad, doesn't matter what note you're starting on, the first, third, and fifth are going to be a 1, flat 3, and a flat 5. For any minor triad, you've got the 1, the flat 3, and the 5. For any major triad, you've got a 1, a normal 3, a normal 5. For any augmented triad, you have a 1, a normal 3, and a sharp 5. So now that we know this general formula for all of our triads, we can construct any triad we want from any key using this. So let's just do a couple of examples. Why don't we look at the B? Let's look at the B minor triad. Okay, well, in order to look at the B minor triad, I would like to know the B major scale. All right, and I'm going to look at the B major scale. I'm just going to copy and paste this formula because every major scale follows it, and I'm going to start it on B. So here we are, and this is the B major scale starting with the 1 on B. Now we're looking, I want to know about the B minor triad. And because it's a minor triad, I know that it's going to have a 1, a flat 3, and a 5 of the B major scale. So we're going to look at, it looks like it's going to be a 1, a flat 3. Hold on, let me just deal with this font issue real quick. Well, I know it's going to be the 1, the flat 3, and the normal 5. So let's look at those notes. It's going to be a B, a D, and an F sharp. Pretty cool. So this is the note. These are the notes in the B minor triad. And if you just gave me any triad at all, pluck a triad out of thin air, I'm going to be able to use this technique to figure out what the notes are in it very quickly. Let's try another one. How about the E augmented triad? So I want to know E augmented triad. And I want all of this to be legible. All right, I want to know about the E augmented triad, and so I'm going to look at the E major scale, which is going to start on E. So here we have, we want to know about the E augmented triad. And I know the E augmented triad has a 1, a 3, and a sharp 5. Okay, well, the 1 of E is E, the 3 of E is G sharp, and the sharp 5 of E is C. And so here we have the E augmented triad. Bam, there it is. Pretty cool. So when people say that you should probably just memorize your major scales, this is the reason. Like, this is why knowing all your major scales is so useful. Because anytime you're looking at a chord chart, you can just decide to, you can just construct any chord you want because you know what each of its chord tones are going to be in relationship to the major scale that it's related to. So, I mean, God, this is so powerful, and this can become automatic for you if you really know your major scales cold. So, kind of that's the deal. I mean, the question is then becomes, well, how do you memorize your major scales? Like, what's the best way to go ahead and do that? And really, I just recommend actually practicing them. Like, it takes you, 5 minutes a day to just kind of go through them all, or it'll take you longer if you don't know them yet, and you're just Like you got to construct them yourself and kind of practice them. But I'd say probably no more than 15 minutes a day, and then after a couple weeks, it'll shrink itself down to about 5 minutes a day. You can really get your major scales into your fingers and into your head really fast. And then once you've got them, this ability to construct any chord like this on the fly becomes available to you. And then you can, like, this is where improvisation comes. This is where sight reading a chord chart comes. It's just an unbelievably practical tool. So I wanted to leave you with this. Just kind of, I really wanted to urge you to consider doing this for your life as a musician.